Hi there, thanks for joining us for today's video. Please make sure that you click subscribe to keep up to date with all of our content. This will include short how-to videos, webinars and demonstrations of all of our products. Check out the links in the description below to check out any content related to today's video, and we hope that you enjoy it. Okay, so for those of you that haven't met me, my name's Alice. I'm the training manager here at Toby Dynavox. And today we are going to be looking at customizing Snapcall first. So I'm actually going to jump straight out of my PowerPoint, and today's session is going to be dominated by just on-screen demo. So we're going to be looking at how we can customize and grow our Snapcall first user, and I'm going to teach you some of the technical skills of how to do that. So it's going to be a lot of kind of how-tos and kind of nitty-gritty technical bits. The first thing that I wanted to do is talk you through how we kind of access the editing kind of side of things, and then go through the edit toolbar. So once you've got your Snapcall first open, you'll notice up here in the top right-hand corner, we've got a little cog and a pencil. This is our edit button, and you'll hear us refer to that as the edit button throughout. And this is where I'm going to go to make any changes, anything that I want to do to kind of make a change to the system. This is where I'm going to do it. So once I click on this edit button, you'll immediately notice that this top bar up here turns blue. So I'll always know that I'm in edit mode when that top bar is blue. You'll notice we've got some edit tools down here on the right hand side, and we'll kind of go through some of those as I get into the little how-tos as we go along. But I just want to pay a bit of attention to this edit toolbar down here at the bottom. So we've got a number of tabs here, and this just kind of refers to different parts of the system that we can make edit to and edit to. And we're not going to go into every single function of this today. We do have some how-to videos that will maybe go into some of the bits that I don't cover today. So Debbie's just put a link into the chat to go directly to that playlist on our YouTube. But I'm just going to highlight some of the kind of main features that I think will be especially useful for today's session. So the first tab that I've got on here is the button, and this is basically the smallest thing that I can change within Snapcall first, and that just refers to changing or adding a single button. So whether I want to change the way that it looks, change the symbol, or actually just create a button, all of that's going to be done in this tab, and we're going to cover that in quite a bit of detail today. The next one is this page tab. So this refers to any changes that I want to make to this page that I'm currently on at the moment. So anything that I do is only going to apply to this page. So let's say I change the background color and I change the grid size. If I do it on this tab, it's only going to affect this one page. One thing that I want to point out while we're here, and I know it's something that comes up quite a lot, I get asked this quite a bit, so I thought I'd point it out, is within Snapcall First, we do have the option to print off your pages directly from your system. So let's say we are using an iPad or an Indie, but we're maybe going to the swimming pool or the beach, and we want to have a backup version that's paper-based. We can actually just print directly from our system and create a paper-based duplicate of our system. Another kind of good reason to have a paper-based is just a backup. You know, maybe we're out and about and our battery dies and something goes wrong. We always want to have some means of communication. So I'm just going to quickly show you how the print feature works. When I'm on the page tab, I've got two options. I can either click this print button on the right-hand side. You can see it's just a little printer. Or if I come over to the left-hand side, there's an option there that says print pages. I open that up and it's going to open up my print toolbar. So the first thing that it will do is it's going to ask me to select the pages that I want to print. Now, of course, I could just print every single page if I wanted to, but it might not be that I need all of the pages. So, for example, I might not need any of my kind of environmental control stuff, any of that stuff that's device specific, but it might just be that I want some of my main communication pages. So I can select all here, or I can use this search bar up here to search for some of the pages that I want. So you can see, because I've opened this onto the core words page, it's already selected my core words page. And then I can come into here and start searching for some other words that I want. And I can just basically click on them and start selecting some of those. So I want my quick fires. I might want to have a topic as well. So I'm just going to search for that. I want my about me topic. And let's say we're going bowling. So I want that one as well. Another thing that's quite useful here is that if I click on this tab here for recently opened pages, it'll show me the pages that I've used recently. So it might just be that I want to pop into there, see which ones I've used the most recently, and access those. Once I've selected the pages I want to print, just click on next. And then I can have a look at some print options. So these little options are basically going to allow me to just look at how the pages look when they print, basically. So I can do things like take the message bar off. So I don't need the message bar really when I'm using it low tech. So if I actually toggle that off, it's going to kind of give it full page, which is going to give me more space and more kind of language on that page. I can do things like take the toolbar on and off as well. I actually prefer to keep the toolbar in there because it helps me to keep modeling that navigation as we, doing it paper-based or on the device as well. And there's a couple of different options, but once I'm happy with that, I just click print and it's going to open up my printer app, and I can go ahead and, select any of the options I want in there and then print my book. So I just thought it'd be worth showing that because it's something that I get asked quite a lot, and I think it's quite a useful page to have open. If I just stop sharing my screen.
You have.
I have. Don't know how that happened, so I'll just start again. There we go. Am I back now, Deb?
You are, yes.
Okay, fantastic. So next tab along is the page set. So any changes that I make here are going to apply to every single page within my system. So if I change the background color, if I change the grid size, all of that's going to apply to every single page within my system. Again, a couple of things I wanted to note here. There's a preferences tab here on the left. And again, this is quite a useful tool. So there's a couple of things that you can change here. So again, we could do things like toggle the message bar in and out. We can do things like change the location of the toolbar. So I've got mine at the left at the moment, but I can actually move it over to the right if I want to. And then there's a couple of other things around kind of matching the toolbar to the grid size as well. So just for looking at preferences of how your page set looks, that's where you can access it under the page set tab. The next tab is the user tab. So this is going to be kind of user settings, basically. So this is where we're going to have things like we're going to be logged into our My Toby Dynavox account so that we can access that free trial if that's what we've set up. We're going to be able to do things like select our voice and a couple of settings around that. And then importantly as well, this is where we access the settings for the access methods. So I can come in and change my access method if maybe, we're using eye gaze or something else. So that's all under the user tab. And then finally, we've got the system tab. And this is covers a couple of settings for kind of just system wide. But one that I thought would be worth mentioning today is this passcode setting. So something that I get asked quite a lot is how do I lock that edit button so that little hands can't just go in and edit things without me knowing or accidentally. So actually here we can set a passcode for a number of different things, but I can actually set it for my edit mode. So let's just put a passcode in here and I'll show you how that works, so that now if I want to go into edit mode, I've got to enter that password in. So that's quite a useful setting that a lot of people ask about. So that's under the system tab under passcode. I'm just going to switch that off, otherwise we're going to be going in and out of there lots of times. So once I've done some editing and I want to go back into kind of full mode, I just click on the done button up here and then I'll be back into Snapcore first. So one of the things that we want to focus on is that we want to ensure that our AAC system, and in this case, Snap Core First, meets our learners' needs right now. So meets their needs in terms of access and language, but also we want to make sure that it grows with them, right? So we don't just want to have a static system that maybe in a couple of months' time isn't going to be applicable to them anymore, and then we're going to have to start off with something new. We want to make sure that we can grow with them. So in Snap Core First, we actually have two different ways that we can grow our user, and I'm going to show you how to do those today. So the first one is simple. It's size-based growth. And simply what we're doing is just changing the amount of buttons or the grid size that's on our system. So I'll show you how to do that. So like with everything else, we're going to go up to the edit button. And for this skill in particular, we're going to go to page set because I want to change the grid size, but I want it to impact all of my pages. So I need to make sure it's on page set. Over here on the left-hand side, I've got an option for grid size. And then you can see here, quite simply, we've got lots of options I can choose from and to select my grid size. So I've got anything from a single button with options all the way up to a grid of 8 by 10. If I scroll down, you'll also notice that I can actually create a custom sized grid. So if there's a very specific size that's not up here, you can create that there as well. And simply what I do is I select the grid size that I want. I'm going to go for 7 by 9, click done. And you'll notice now that no matter what page I've gone onto, that grid size has changed universally across the whole grid size. So I'll just quickly show you that again. We're going to go into that edit mode, down to the edit toolbar and select page set, select grid size, and then I'm just going to select the grid size that I want. So really nice and simple. A couple of things to note that are really nice about this is that what we're doing is we are simply just changing the amount of buttons on there. We're not creating a whole new page set. We're not creating a new user. So what that means is that if I've started at, let's say, a 3 by 4 at this grid size, and I've added some vocabulary that's more personalized to my user, and maybe added some links to some different pages and activities, and then I want to go ahead and change that grid size, all of that personalization is going to stay. That vocabulary that I've added is going to stay. We're literally just going to change the amount of buttons that are on there. So we're not starting from scratch. So it's a really, really useful kind of tool from that point of view. The second type of growth that we've got is what we call location-based growth. So this is going to differ slightly. And the way that this works is that we're going to start out with choosing the largest grid size that we think our user will be able to use. So that can be based on maybe the size button that they can access, but also it's kind of really forward thinking. So we want to think 6 months, 12 months, 2 years down the line, what's going to be our ultimate goal? How, what kind of grid size, how much language do we want our user to be able to have access to? And then what we're then going to do is we're going to take that grid size and we're going to use it as our foundation, but we're going to reduce the amount of languages that's on there by hiding some buttons. So I'm going to start off with this grid size that I've got. I think it was a 7 by 9. Because I think that that's the right size for my user in terms of the buttons that they can access, but also in terms of kind of future-proofing. This is the amount of language that I think they're going to be able to access. But right now we're at the early stages, let's say, of our AAC journey, and this is quite a lot of language for them. So what I want to do is to reduce some of this language. So I'm going to go into this edit button again. And what I want to do is I want to select some buttons that I can hide. And there's a couple of ways that I can do that. On this right-hand side here, you'll notice there's a couple of different options for like selecting buttons. This box here that's got kind of 2 boxes and a tick is a select all. So I could select all of those and then unselect the ones that I want to keep. We also have this button, which is a multi-select, so I can use that. It's the box with kind of 4 boxes with a couple of ticks, and I can come in here and multi-select the buttons that I want to hide. Or I can use this tool, I believe it's called a marquee tool, really, really useful. So what I do here is I basically use my mouse or click and drag to draw a box around the buttons that I want to select. So I'm going to select these ones, and I'm also going to select these ones. It's a nice quick way of doing it. Once I've selected those, I'm going to come again to the right hand side, and there's this little button that's got an eye with a cross through it, and that's my hide button. So when I click on that, you'll notice that those buttons that I selected are now grayed out. And when I go into my done button and editing, you'll now notice that those buttons that I selected and hid are not visible on that page. So what I've got is that grid size that I chose with the size buttons that I want, but with less language on there, so that we can maybe begin with a smaller amount
Alice,
of language.
I've just lost your voice. I'm not sure if you've frozen or not.
Okay. Have you got me now, Deb? Am I back at all?
Now, but we lost you for a good probably 20 seconds there.
Okay, sorry about that. I'll backtrack a little bit then, just in case you've missed anything. So let me just go back a couple of bits. So we're talking about selecting some buttons that I want to hide on my system. Let's just select all of these. Okay, so I'm going to go into this edit button, and I want to choose some buttons that I want to hide, so that I can kind of reduce the language a little bit on here, just so that I can meet the needs of my learner and where they're at now. And there's a couple of ways that I can do it. So I've got some tools here for selecting. This first one, that's a couple of boxes, is a select all. So that's going to select every single button on that page. The one below it is multi-select. So that's going to allow me to select a bunch of buttons in one go. And then the one below, which I prefer to use, I think is called a marquee tool. I'm not entirely sure. But what this does is it allows me, with my mouse or my finger from an iPad, to click and drag, and it'll select any of the buttons that I've put within that box. So I can go along here, and I'm going to select all of those buttons. Now, I've done this a little bit randomly, but now if what I'll going to do next is I'm going to select this button down here, which is an eye with a cross through it, and this is going to allow me to hide those buttons. So you'll notice while I'm in edit mode, those buttons are just going to be grayed out. But if I click done and go back into my kind of communication mode, you'll notice that those buttons have been hidden. So now I've just got access to this amount of language that I've chosen, that I've specifically chosen for us to focus on. So let's say now that we're a few months down the line and we want to start systematically growing this language. I'm going to go back and kind of do that process again, but at the reverse. So I'm going to go back into my edit button. And let's say now I'd quite like to add some pronouns in. So I want to unhide some of these pronouns. So again, I'm going to come in, I'm going to use this marquee tool. I'm going to click and drag over the ones that I want to unhide. And I can see they're selected because they've got a little tick on them. And then I'm going to go and click on the I button, and now that's going to show those buttons. So again, I'm going to go back into edit, into communication mode. You'll note that those will appear back. And gradually over time, I'm going to add more and more words until we get to a point where we filled up our grid again. So a couple of things to note about this kind of method of growth is that this really supports the idea of multi-planning. So when we started just with these kind of green buttons here, our learner got used to navigating to them, to finding them, knowing exactly where they were. But when we added more buttons, all we were doing was adding buttons around them. So they weren't having to relearn the location of any of their already learned vocabulary. We're just simply adding around the edge. So we're not having to kind of reteach them anything. We're just adding some new words in. So a really, really good way of doing that. I'm just going to add all of these back in so that I can move on to the next section. Perfect. So we've looked at kind of growing our system for our learner. What we're going to do now is look at that customization, that kind of personalizing it. So we know that core words are a really important part of this page set. And we've got a ready-made core words page within Snap Core First. The organisation of these words is based on research that has been carried out by the Centre of Literacy and Disability Studies at Chapel Hill in North Carolina. And this talks, the way that this is laid out is that they kind of organise the words and how we use them and how we introduce them according to research, but also kind of the development of language. So if you want to find out a little bit more about that and how we teach core words, please do go to Project Core website, which is the website run by Karen Erickson, and it's got some really great resources about core vocabulary and how we teach that. But we know that everybody's an individual, right? So there's going to be some personalizations that we're going to need to make to their page to make sure that it meets their needs. And the majority of those personalizations are probably going to be things like fringe vocabulary, or maybe even in topics and some quick fires. So I'm going to show you how we do that. So the example that I'm going to use is I'm going to go into my personal section here, and I'm going to look to add some words. The first thing that I'm actually going to do before I add anything is I'm going to see if it already exists. It might already be within that system. And so we've actually got this search tool here that's going to allow me to search for that word and see if it already exists in the system before I add it again. So I'm going to click on this search button and I'm going to type in, let's go, it's always my go-to, going to type in chocolate. So the first thing you're going to see is some different results for that word. And then it will also tell you where that word is. So I'll actually use a different example just so that I can give you a little bit more of an idea. Here we go. So I've typed in pet. And I can see that there's quite a lot of results here for pet. And under each result, it's actually going to tell me where these words can be found. So I've got some pets in a topic menu. I've got pets in topic words in a support. Once I've kind of decided, I want to have a look at where this word is, what I can actually do is if I select that word, so I want to have a look at these topic words here. I'm going to select that and it's actually going to show me how to find that word. So now it's telling me that I need to go to topics. It's now flashing that I need to scroll down. So I'm going to go down there and then it's showing me here that I've got a pets topic, go to topic words, and then I can find pets here. So I can see that I've got that pets word, which is brilliant. Now, that's great. I'm glad that we've got some pet words, but I actually want to add something really specific to me and my family. So I'm actually going to go back into that personal and I want to add my own vocabulary in. So like with everything else, I am going to go into my edit button so that I go into edit mode. I'm going to select an empty button. So I'm just going to go for this top one here. And I am going to add in my my own vocabulary. So I want to add in my pet Arnold. So I'm going to search for Arnold there. And Arnold is a puppy. You can see here that there's no symbol that's come up for Arnold because it's a name. But if I click on that kind of symbol there, I will open up my symbol search, which is going to allow me to search for the database of thousands of symbols that we've got in Snap Core First. So I'm actually going to search for puppy in here. And now it's going to show me some different symbols that I've got that I can add in for puppy. So I could use this one. The other thing that I can do instead of using a symbol is I can come over here to where I've got this little camera and I could do two things. I can either take a photograph of something here and now. So it might be a person or a place. So using my device, my iPad or my Indie or whatever device that I'm using. Or I can bring in a photo from my device that may be something that I've got saved on there. So if I click on Photo Library, I'm going to bring in a photo. And here I've got a nice picture of Arnold. So I'm going to bring him in here. Once I'm happy with that picture, I can click on Done. And then now I've created a nice a button specific to Arnold. So I've got the label there and I've used a photograph. I'm going to add another one, and this time I'm going to put in a toy, and I want to talk about Arnold's toys. So again, this symbol isn't the right symbol for me. He doesn't play with those kind of toys. I'm going to click on that to open up that symbol search. And this time I'm going to search for dog toy. And it's going to give me all the symbols that come up with that. And I've got this nice symbol here that's got some of Arnold's toys here that he plays with. Now, what I'm going to do slightly differently with this button, which is that instead of just having a single word behind this button, I might want to put a message behind there. So I'm going to use what we call a formulate language, so a chunk of language instead. So I filled in the label, which is what's going to be written on this button, but I actually want to change what's going to be said on the button. So I'm going to click into where it says message, and I'm going to put he loves toys. And then I'm going to click done. And now, when I click on this button,
He loves his toys.
That will give in that message that I've put in. So going back into personal, we've got Arnold. And
he loves his toys.
His toys. I'm going to show you a couple of other things that we can do as well when we're looking at editing buttons. I'm just going to come back into here to show you. Again, I'm going to go to edit. This time, maybe I want to change the color of the button. So again, I'm going to select the button that I want to change. I don't want to change any of the content, so I'm happy with the label and the picture, but I want to change the color. So I'm going to come over to where it says style. And then here I've got a bunch of different options. I can add a background color to it. I can put a border on there. So I'm actually going to add a border because it helps my user to kind of visualize those buttons a little bit more. Could put a nice black border on there. I'm going to make it quite a heavy border so they can see it. I can also do things like change the font size, even change what the font looks like. So I can go for a different font if I want to. Change the font color. So there's quite a lot that you can do to kind of change the way that that button looks. And again, once I've done, I can click done and I can see that those changes have been made on there as well. Next thing that I want to do is show you how to rearrange vocabulary. So an example that I'm going to give is I'm going to come to my fringe vocabulary here, and I'm going to go to all word lists. And this is going to be lots of categories of different types of words that I might want to use whilst I'm communicating. And these are preloaded words that we've put on there, so that anybody that downloads Snap is going to have access to all of these words. And once we look at the categories, so if I go into food and drink, for example, you'll notice that we've got lots of different words that are food and drinks, but across the top, we've got what we call related lists. So these are going to be kind of subcategories of that. So within food and drinks, we've got breakfast foods, snacks, eating out, drinks. Now, let's say that I'm setting this up for a user, and I'm just trying to have a look at kind of what's relevant vocabulary for them, really. And I notice when I go down to here onto page 2 that there's an ice cream button. And the person that I'm working with at the moment really loves ice cream, and it's probably going to be something that they're going to talk about quite a lot. So what I actually want to do is I want to move the ice cream button, because at the moment they have to go to that food and drinks page and then scroll down to find that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into that edit mode again. And I simply want to move this button up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and hold, or if I'm using a touch device, just press and hold. And I'm literally just going to drag that to move it. So I'm going to drag up to the first page, and I want to move it right up to the top up here. Now, there's two things that I can do. If I hold it directly over another word, it'll just swap those over. Or if I hold it, say, in between two words, it's going to shift everything over. So I actually just want to swap this directly. So now I've moved the ice cream button from down there up to the top. I might want to do the same in some of my other categories. So if I go into, say, breakfast, cinnamon roll might be my favorite. So I want to move that up to the top. So it's the first button that I can access. And I'm simply just pressing and holding and moving it around, just like we would do, say, on our phones. So we've had a look at adding buttons and rearranging vocabulary. And the last thing that I want to show you is how we can link to a page. So I'm just going to come out of here. I'm going to come back to my personal page. So let's say that instead of just a single button, I may want to create a puppy page, so a page all about Arnold. And I want to create a link that will open up that page so that I can then go in and add it in. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go into edit mode. I'm going to select an empty button. I'm going to name it. So things. And this time I want to create a link to it. So on the left-hand side here in my kind of editing toolbar, there's an option that says link to page. And there's a couple of options here. I can just link to a new page. So it's just going to open up a blank page for me that I can go in and fill in. So I might want to add in, you know, some of his favorite foods and toys and things like that. I can link it directly to an existing page. So it'll just take me to another page that's already existed in the system. Or I can actually link to a copy of a page. And so what this will do is that, let's say there's a page out there that's got some of the things that I want to have on my puppy page, but maybe I want to edit it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to link to a copy of a page. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to call this puppy things. I need to give it a name. And then I'm going to look for this page, animal items. Now I know that this page exists and I know that it's got some of the things that I need for Arnold's page. So I'm going to actually select that and create it. And now you'll notice that on my puppy things button, there's a little arrow on there, which basically means that it links to another page. Whilst I'm in edit mode,
Puppy
I can
things.
just double click on there. And now I've opened up this kind of copy of a page that I've created. Now, there's some stuff on here that's really relevant, but there's some stuff that's not relevant to Arnold's puppy page. So I'm going to make some changes to it. So things like cat food and reins aren't relevant to Arnold. So I'm going to come in and use this multi-select button that we used earlier. And I'm actually going to just come and select some buttons that I don't really need. And we're going to go through and get rid of some of these buttons that we don't need for Arnold. So I'm going to delete those. And then I'm going to come in and rearrange some of these words, just as we did before. Click and select and add some of these in. And then, of course, I can come in and add some more vocabulary. So let's say I want to add some of his favorite treats. So I'm going to put in a sausage in there. I'm going to select my symbol there. Another one of his favorites is chicken. So again, I'm just going to type in the label. It's going to auto-generate a symbol. And I'm going to select this one or this one, little chicken bits that he eats. So I'm just selecting on this empty button, typing in what it is that I want. Another one of his favorite things to play with is socks. Typing into the label, it's generating a symbol that I can either just use or select on the symbol to open up my symbol finder. And I can come in and I can select the symbol that I want. So there, what I've done is taken a copy of a page that exists and then edited it to meet the needs of what I would like for that button. We've got some really great resources in our Pathways app. So Pathways is a free app that's full of lots of different kind of how-tos and implementation guides. And there's a whole section in there called Customize Core First, which will take you through lots of the steps that I've shown you today. So we've got some cheat sheets with some simple bullet points. We've got some videos, some short videos that will show you how to do each of those sections. We've also got a playlist on our YouTube channel that's called Snap Core First How-To videos. I think Debbie's already put the link in the chat. And this has just got some really short videos that will show you how to do each of the skills that I showed you today. I'd also highly recommend that you go and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We've got some really great content, not just about Snapcore First, but about some of our other products as well. And one that I would recommend looking at, and I will send you the link to, is we've got a playlist called Tea with TD. And this was a series of sessions we did last month, looking at using Snapcore First, and looking at supporting our Snapcore First user. And these are really nice, quick 20-minute sessions. And so I would recommend going ahead and having a look at that as well today. If there's anything else that you'd like to know about, so maybe looking at some of our other products, please feel free to use this QR code, and we'll send you a link as well to find out who your local account manager is, and they'll be able to sort out and organise an appointment with you, and maybe discuss things like some personalised training, some demos of some of our other products as well.